democracy. As you can see, there are insecurity all over so many countries in Africa to say, and there have been a lot of problems because Nigerian and African economy is not helping people, and investors are leaving Africa. A lot of investors are leaving. And people are asking, what is the problem with Africa? And how are we going to solve this problem we are talking about? The former president of Nigeria, Mr. Olusegun Obasanjo, the other day was talking about his experience. He was one-time military leader of Nigeria and two-time democratic president of Nigeria. He have tested leadership in different levels. And look at this man, 82 years old man, coming to say that African democracy or Western democracy imposed on Africans can never work. People were shocked. How can this man who have tested power in different levels, talking about the military, talking about the democratic two term, that is 8 years, because in Nigeria, a term is 4 years. And this man is coming out to say that the Western democracy is not working. So everybody were shocked. And here we are with your own idea from your book, Afrodemocracy, the New African Order. I'm beginning to see the reality of what you said in our previous video. Now, before I would allow you to go more on the details on how presidency system of government is against the people, I just want to tell you that there is a political tussle in one of the states in Nigeria, in Rivers State. And this political crisis has been going on for some months now. But yesterday, the president intervened in a manner that is against the people. The people are saying, no, this president's intervention on this crisis won't work because it doesn't favor the people. And I'm beginning to see everything you said about the presidency being against the people. Mr. Clavis Johnson is an author of Afrodemocracy, the New African Order. He is from Johannesburg, South Africa. Mr. Clavis, please tell us, why do you say that African democracy or presidency is against the people?
Thanks again, Mr. Coach, having me online today. It's a pleasure. It's a great pleasure, actually, having this conversation with you online. Going straight to the point about the presidency, as we said, as we spoke about last time, I believe that everything that has been created, imagined, conceived by the West without the participation of Africans, it's not for the benefit of Africans. I can go even further to even see the AU, who suggested that to us. ECOWAS, like in the western part of Africa, who suggested that to us. Even the United Nations. As long we're not free to conceive all those structures, we will never get any benefit from that. Now, here's the presidency. The presidency was created after they took the decision-making power from our ancestors, from our chiefs, from our kings, from our rulers, traditional rulers. By doing that, they stole the land, and by stealing the land, they control the resources. So whenever they feel like the people are rising to get back what they've lost, because they are no longer here physically, like the settlers, the colonists, whatsoever, but their system is still in place in the country.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
The system means they are there. The system recognizes the person who created it. The system recognizes its master. So the system is the master himself. When the people start rising to get back what they want, they will just manipulate the system they created. That's why I said the last time that the African country, it's not a country as such. It is a system, the African country. When I look at the African country, it is a system. If they want civil war, they know where to press. If they want uprising, they know where to press. If they want dictatorship, they know where to press. We will just wake up one morning and some other day, then there's trouble in the society. What's going on? The African country is a system. The way they created it, the way they drew all those borders, the way they mixed us with different cultures, knowing that we are different people, yet they put us under the same structure of the presidency. What does it mean? It's like players on the field running all after the soccer ball. Just imagine what is that then. There will be clashes, there will be whatsoever. We are all racing for one thing: power at the presidency. But why so? Why? Who are we serving? Whose legacy is that? Who implemented the presidency in our country? Who suggested that to us? The West. The West cannot suggest anything to us and let us expect benefiting from that. That's
Exactly.
impossible.
Exactly.
So the presidency is against the people, whether we like it or not. We just have to give it time. We'll come to see a reality that it's never
No,
been just serving
we
us.
have beginning to see the reality that the presidency system of government is against the people.
Mhm,
Because in African democracy, the president has a lot of power that even the corrupt legislation cannot check the president because they are corrupt as well. So the president violate the court order, they do all sort of things. And that is why so many African countries, including my country, Nigeria, we are looking for good person in the name of good person who can come there and start changing the system. But the person must have the idea that this system I'm going into is not working. And I cannot do well unless I change the system. And
mhm,
that is why I am going to the mountain of politics in Nigeria and Africa. The mountain of politics in Nigeria, in the sense that if you are a citizen,
mhm,
it is very hard for you to rise up to challenge the government,
mhm,
even when it is in your constitutional power to do.
mhm, mhm,
Your fundamental human right could be trapped, and no one will talk about it. They have their agencies. They could use military against you. They
mhm.
could use police against you. So this is what I call the mountain of politics and democracy in Nigeria and Africa. So when I am hearing your eloquent speech and your great idea about this Afro-democracy, the new African order, how Africans can change and go back to the ways we were before the invention of this Western democracy
Mhm,
upon us. My fear is this.
mhm.
So many people who rose up to challenge the status quo have been killed.
Mhm.
What is the destiny of so many of us who are ready to go in for it?
Well, first of all, why were they killed? That's the question we ask ourselves. We're talking about activists in the country. We're talking about outspoken people. We're talking about revolutionary leaders. Why were
Yeah.
they killed? That's where we go back again to the presidency. The presidency is a system itself. The African country is also a system. So the presidency is a system within a system. Now, all they have to
Mm,
do, like as we're saying about the former president of Nigeria, he's calling out
yeah.
for Afrodemocracy. Why he didn't say that? If we have to ask that question, so why he didn't say that when he was in power?
Okay.
Because when the man is in power, he's not himself.
Yeah. Mm.
They take an oath, everyone watching, but within the presidency, behind secret doors, there's another oath there. So that
The
is
oath they took in France or in London,
that's what
or
I'm
the one
saying.
they took in Belgium.
That's what I'm saying. So that one we don't know what is exactly the contents of that oath. So that oath we can just guess, we can just deduce from what our society is all about. Like when the interest of the founder, let me put it that way, when the interest of the founder of the presidency is shaken, it's threatened, then all they have to do is to press the button. Do
Mm.
it or die. When I say do it or die, it simply means if you're a revolutionary leader, you're standing against us, then you will die. If you are an elected president and you must do to protect our interests, otherwise we will take you out. They know where to press. There will be like some kind of revolt, people calling for impeachment whatsoever. They will know where to press, you see. So do it or die. So if you want to maintain yourself there, use the military. And if you kill, we won't make
Will
noise.
protect you.
We will just protect you. So that is the package of that oath, I'm saying, behind the closed doors that us, we don't know. So when the man is there, he cannot speak about the political change, the governing system change whatsoever. But when he's out, like in the case of the former Nigerian president, we won't believe that he didn't see that when he was in power. He saw that exactly, that democracy is not working. But
Are you sure? You sure?
he couldn't
Are you
open
sure
his
he
mouth.
saw it when he was in power?
He couldn't open his mouth right then because there are conditions that only a president knows about that. But once he's out, he's living his, let me not say last moment on earth, but at least, he has lived his life. So there's nothing to lose anymore. And then at least he told us the truth that as Africans, we need to go for. We need to change the political system. But to make it in an easy way, not to lose anyone, not to get anyone arrested, that is where we have to go back to our roots. Because what will make someone to rise up, to become a chief rebel or whatsoever, to bring a group of terrorists whatsoever to attack the country, what will allow a black man to do that against his own black people?
There
Nothing
is
else.
an influence. There is a
Nothing else
hidden
except the
influence.
influence, like you're saying, but also nothing else except the cultural difference. That we should not deny that. As an African man in the same country, when we are from a part of a country, maybe from the north or from the south, we have to admit it that when we see someone from far west within the same country, there is a difference there. You keep
There
saying
is a
like, this one is
difference.
not my own.
Yeah.
He's from, he is not my own. So that alone is enough to pick up weapons, to pick up guns, and attack that other tribe, if I have to put it that way. I'm writing the theories
Wow.
of tribalism to bring all these facts clear in our minds, that we cannot resolve African issues if we don't debate on the issue of tribalism.
You are very right, Mr. Johnson. What you just said, that what we make, you asked a question, what we make an African to pick up gun and kill another African, if not tribalism? You are very, very correct, because I think I have witnessed and experienced what you are saying. This is a sad reality that, let me say, for example, Nigeria is one of the most diverse nations on earth. We have so many tribes. We are up to 520 languages.
Well,
You see, when there are genocidal, actions by the military or the police against the people, when you check the people carrying out those actions, they are not from the people. They are people from another tribe.
yeah.
So it seems that these people don't value another tribe, even though we are in the same territory that is called nation.
That is the
But
country system.
that nation don't join people together, because we have different ideas, we have different cultures, sometimes different religion, different ideology. And what you are saying is a sad reality, because in my country, Nigeria, apart from our national constitution, do you know that Nigeria practice other constitution and law? For example, Sharia law. We have Sharia court. We have Sharia police. And in Sharia court, if you are found, maybe you are drinking beer, they take you to Sharia court, you may be sentenced to die. They break bottles of beer. They don't allow people to sell beer in some part of the country in the name of Sharia law. And Sharia police can arrest you. And this is contrary to the national constitution. So when you are talking about these cultural differences, that Africa can never get it right if we did not understand the theory of tribalism. why so many cultures, different cultures must go back to their regions and lead themselves, administrate themselves, have their own government. I think you have more things to tell us about this Afro-democracy,
Exactly.
because I think that would be the solution to what we are looking for.
Exactly.
And to add it up before you will speak, when you look at the eastern part of the country in Nigeria, there is a region called Biafra. That is the eastern region. And Nigeria have fought a civil war called Nigerian and Biafra War. These people wanted to go their separate ways. And the reason why these people wanted to go their separate ways that led to the war was because of discrimination. The other tribes are discriminating them, marginalizing them. Even as of today, as I speak to you, when you look at the federal character system, you will see that there are some ways that these people has been excluded from the system because they are so-called minority. So I am beginning to get this sad reality from what you are saying, that we must go back. Everybody must lead their people because that is the root of democracy. That democracy is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. So when your people is not leading you, someone who don't have the same idea with you is leading you, that is no longer democracy. And that is why I have to give you applause for this great idea of
Thank you.
Afro-democracy.
Thank you.
So it's a sad reality anyway. It's a sad reality.
Oh, well. Now, you were just talking about Biafra, that region. I guess, is it rich in minerals, that region?
Absolutely. It's a little bit rich, but the richest part when it comes to mineral resources in Nigeria is the south. But this southeast are also rich in mineral resources. They are very good in
Well,
business. They are
now,
worthy,
now,
and
now to come into this, Mr. Okocha. Now, when we look at Africa as a whole, when I personally look at African countries and the tribals, the civil unrest within the country, if you can just follow the aspects of those fights, it is always the region that is poor in mineral and in resources fighting against the regions that are rich, where the people are born on rich soils, they know the value of their soil and what it contains, so they are ready to serve their own people, their own descendants. Now, here, let me put it clear, the West will then influence the people who are from poor regions, saying that if you don't go for that, those who are rich will never let you as well, be rich. So you have to
mm,
go for that, knowing that you are
mm,
desperate, knowing that you are
mm,
from a poor region, knowing that there is a
mm,
cultural difference with those who are rich. You will never think twice to pick up a weapon and then to go and kill mercilessly. You will do that because you need what that soil contains. And for that matter, when we look at most of these long-serving presidents in Africa, most
mm.
of them are from poor regions.
Yeah.
Most of them, like they are from poor provinces. Their land of origin does not really have the resources. So for that matter, they have to be there. They have to
Mm.
be there to make sure that they can control the resources that are not from their own land. And those are the
Exactly.
people, when you propose them any political change, any change of governing system, they will never accept that. What is their fear? They don't want to go back and be poor. What is their fear? They don't want to give the power to those who are from rich land to manage their own resources, with the fear that they will be in the bedside, they will be left out. So they don't want that. And
You are right.
those are the
That
people who
is
make you
right.
believe that democracy exists. Those are the people who make you believe that there's unity in the country because they
Mm.
want to maintain that system. That is the only way for them to control what their lands does not provide. So if today we come with a new political system and we sit together as different tribes, let me put it that way,
Mhm.
different tribe as different nation, because I believe that the African nation is made of nations inside the current republic or the current African nation. So
Yeah.
we have real nations where me and you we are from, and we have the Western nation created above that we call the republic. So that's what I
Yeah.
call a pseudo nation. It's a fake one. Because if you ask your fellow brother, like, where are you from? You can say, okay, I'm from Nigeria. You yourself, you won't be satisfied. You'll be, yes, from Nigeria, but where?
Weird. Weird.
Where?
Weird.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Clavis,
So,
you see, your explanation has touched a lot of things.
mhm,
In 2014, when our former president Goodluck Jonathan was the president of Nigeria, he
mhm,
proposed a national conference where people of different tribes will come and talk how this nation will continue to go.
mhm,
And one of the resolution reached is that there should be a restructuring of Nigeria.
mhm.
When you hear that word, restructuring of Nigeria, it scares a lot of political elites because they don't want anything like that.
Mhm.
And Nigerians wanted a system where people will have their own police. They have their local police that knows their bushes, that knows their people.
Wow.
But Nigeria has never given them, the presidency has never given them the opportunity to do that.
Wow.
And secondly, people wanted to take care of their resources as well.
Mhm.
But the presidency has denied them this restructuring. Now, you see, when people say Nigeria is great, people call Nigeria great. There is a reason why people call Nigeria great. Nigeria before was in regions. The government was in region. We have regional governments. Everybody was administrating their territories.
And I believe
Before
Nigeria was
they now
preserving that
change,
region.
yes, we have a republican constitution. We have different kind of constitution in Nigeria. We have 1963 constitution. When you go through these documents, you would understand that what made Nigeria great is not the presidency system of government.
Mhm,
What made Nigeria great is not what we are practicing today. But
mhm,
when the country was in regional government, different regions were administrating their people. They
mhm,
know their people, they know how to take care of their people, and the people knows how to hold you responsible
mhm,
if you do not do well because they belong to them. But if the leader is not from your tribe, any mistake you make, they will say because it's not from your tribe, you are against him.
mhm,
So there is a tribal problem in
mhm,
African democracy that we must return to our roots. By the way, it is these so-called Western people that amalgamate us together. They call
mhm.
it amalgamation. They bring people from different tribe,
Yeah.
different region, different religion, different language, people who don't have anything in common. They
Mhm.
call them nation. And that is contrary to the definition of nation. Because the
Exactly.
definition of nation is supposed to be people in
Exactly.
unison that have one thing in common.
Mhm.
But this is the problem we are facing. So, Mr. Johnson, where do we go from here?
Well, now
Where do we go
I'll,
from
I'll
here?
take I'll take the context of China. More than I don't know, a billions of people in that country, represented by one man, the president, against actually he's saving them from the predatory behavior of the West. But when it comes to Africa, more than a billion people, represented by about 50 to 44 to 54 to 55 leaders, the number of
Mm,
African countries.
mm,
But despite that huge number of leaders, we are all exposed to the West. Now,
mm.
if we have to talk about a context from where are we going about this, I believe that Africa will not develop unless the issue of unity is addressed. But how
Yeah,
can we address the issue of unity in Africa? There will be no unity if we don't consider our roots. There will be no unity if we don't consider our values. Because when there's a leader who's not from my tribe, it is obvious that that leader will not respect my values, will not respect my tribe, will not respect my
absolutely.
culture. Now, the
Absolutely.
moment you won't do that, it is my identity that the person is not respecting. That is my true identity, not according to my passport, not according to the republic. My true identity is from within my DNA, from my ancestral roots. Now, that is so revolting within the person. It is so
Mm.
revolting. And the moment there is this type of revolt within me, you will
Mm.
not expect me to unite with someone who's from far north, far west, far east, far south, who's doing that against me. There'll be no way. And if
Yeah.
there's no unity within the
Yeah.
country, how can we unite at the continental level? There is no way. So
There
the
is no way,
AU is a
absolutely.
lie. The regional institutions like ECOWAS whatsoever, they're just
ECOWAS.
lying to us.
ECOWAS, AU, these are clubs of incumbent leaders. It is
Definitely,
just a club of incumbent leaders.
definitely.
They,
So
oh my
by
God.
having regionalism in the country, the West, actually the maker of the presidency, the owner of the presidency, will have to deal with all those regions in order to benefit from resources from different regions here and there. But when there's a presidency, the West only deals with one person, as I said last time, just one signature. And if they don't obey, use the military, use the police, use this.
That is what they are doing.
That is the
That is what
reality
that,
across
that is what they
Africa.
are doing.
So the only time they are against us doing what we want so that everyone will benefit from the resources of our countries, it is the presidency acting against the people. It is the presidency acting against the people. So even if the leader campaigning is of good heart, good faith, whatsoever, the moment we'll get there, he will turn to a monster. That is
Mm.
like the second oath. I won't even say that it's the second oath, it's the first oath of
Mm.
the presidency. The second is the one they show in the public because they
Yeah.
won't let you to become a president if they are not assured that you are going to serve them. So for them to be assured that you're going to serve them, you are taking the first oath in a
Yeah.
secret behind closed door. And that is when, well, they come and show us in public that this is the elected president. But oh my, I still can't believe that in Africa we
So,
will elect president.
Mr.
I can't
Clavis,
believe that.
what
Yeah.
would be the solution to this? What do you think that would be the
Well,
solution? Where do we start from here?
as you say that we need regionalism, we need police that per region, per state, per nation, per province that will have to look after the people. They have something common. I spoke about that in the book. I spoke about that in the book that we cannot have a national police in the context of the republic because the chief of the police can be from far north. When it comes to dealing with people from far south, he will have no mercy. He will have
That is
no
just it.
mercy. So the police is all about the safety of the people. Let it be in accordance to the region where people are having a common value. But when it
Mm.
comes to the military, because the military deals about the defense of the borders, yeah, no problem. We can have it mixed, the recruitment across the country. And I also believe that in that case, the military should be led not by the Minister of Defense, but by a Council of Defense. Because if there's a Council of Defense representing all the tribes, representing all the states, representing all the regions, sitting in the Department of Defense, there will be
Mm.
no one that will be easily bribed by the West. Okay, send the military over there to go over and overthrow such a governor, send the military over there to go and kill such a traditional leader because he's opposing us to exploit his resources from his land. Send the military over there. There will be no such. If the
Mm.
military is led by a council, and here comes terrorism from any region of the country, there will be no thinking twice, like, I am the Minister of the Defense, I am close to the president, we are from the same tribe, we are serving the
Mm.
West, then terrorism will be taking time, will be pushing further, killing people as if the army is powerless. No, the army is not powerless, but the chief. of Staff, the Ministry of Defense, is just serving the presidency that is against the people. So let them kill them, let do whatsoever, who are pushing the Western agenda, but hiding in the name of the presidency being weak, hiding in the name of the country not having enough resources. It is wrong. If the military is led by a council, I'm not seeing where terrorism will prosper. I'm not seeing where civil.
Wow.
I'm not seeing all
Mm.
that. So
Wow.
that is the fact. Now, under Afro-democracy, I believe that we don't need a presidency because when when recently Nigeria almost intervened against Nigeria.
Niger, yeah.
They almost intervened there. What was the point? It is a president who's
Yeah.
like, I have to, I have to. All of us black people were ashamed of that reaction. We were like, this is black like us, but what is going on? But just imagine if it was a council of leaders, like different leaders from different states of the country sitting there. The West won't have one person to convince because others
Exactly.
will oppose. They'll be like, no, I
Exactly.
cannot do that. But when you are alone, that is when I said in the book, there is a principle of do or die. When I say do or die, in that die, it's either you face humiliation or you face death. They can just kick you out. They can just, expose your crime because, Mr. Okocha, I believe for us to have a
Oh my
president
goodness.
in Africa, first of all, he must have criminal records. That is
Yeah.
also something I'm saying. There's
Yeah.
no clean African president. You
That is
must
true.
have you must have criminal record first, not against the people in your country, but the kind of crime that is also implicating the West.
Yeah.
If you don't have that, it will be very difficult for you to be elected as a president. There
And
must
why?
be something that they can hold you accountable for the moment you start turning against them. So here is a president. They say, okay, you have to do this, you have to do that.
Hmm.
As a person, you feel like, let me not do that. But when you look at the other side, the dark side of yourself, your crimes and so on, no, 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 no. You don't want to face that. You don't want to face prison. From presidency to prison, it's something like no one can just accept like that. What you do, you will go against your own color. You will go against your own likes. So that is the situation right here. Well, in Afro democracy, I believe that the power should be returned to our traditional leaders. When it is returned to our traditional leaders, those leaders are from a particular state, from a particular nation, from a particular province region. They have people in common that they have a strong bond with. Then they
Yeah.
will take a good care of those people under
Exactly.
that certain government. Now,
Yeah.
when we do that, when we close the presidency, we weaken the West. The West will be weak in our country because if they want to steal oil, they will have to talk to all those traditional leaders. It is a big, it is a huge challenge for them. It will be like taking them back during that time of colonization when they came here in the first time of history, where they have to go from each village, from each tribe, where they have to go to each, to convince all those leaders so that they can create a republic. So we have to take them back there. Just that
Hmm.
there's a difference. If back there our leaders were not educated, maybe they did not know about this modern time whatsoever. Today, our traditional leaders are different. They have education. They have their children who are educated. They have citizens of their lands who are educated, successful business people. So they will not just be deceived like that by a certain Western mind coming to process what their land produces. So that is what we have to do. So at the bottom of this, Mr. Okocha, to make things go
Yeah.
smoothly, we have to assure those who are in power that no one is going to lose. if they are maintaining the Western system, because they believe that is how they can have their hands on oil, on gold, on time, on anything. And by having their hands on, they are giving most of it to the West, and the small percentage, remaining, that is what they're sharing among themselves, while the people are suffering. So if we can break that concrete of the presidency and assure them that everyone will benefit in the country and under Afro-democracy, I'm not seeing how those leaders are going to resist, because their only motivation, their only reason of resistance is the fear of losing what they have, is the fear of being victims like other people are, is the fear of being rich today and tomorrow being poor. That is the fear pushing them to maintain this system. Otherwise,
I
I'm not
think
seeing the
I
reason.
think what you are saying is very, very correct, because there is this of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu. This man has been in detention since 2021, and there have been series of court cases in Nigeria. But I noticed that the governors from this eastern region, they are afraid of this system of IPOB that are about to come, because they believe that if we give these people the opportunity to exercise their own idea, they will take everybody to their own side, which they have succeeded doing, they have done. Now, the fear of these governors is that let this leader remain in custody. Imagine the governors from that region are even working with the federal government to make sure they keep the guy, the man in detention. Be relevant again, politically and otherwise. They are afraid that they are going to lose their power, they are going to lose their political value, they are going to lose everything. Because when this man comes out, nobody listen to the governor again, nobody listen to whoever you are in the region, they listen to this man, Nnamdi Kanu. So these people are now afraid. So when you were elucidating and explaining the Afro-democracy, why people who have new idea on how to lead themselves should also tell people who are already in power that they are not going to lose their value. How possible it is, because the value is what has trapped us. The value is what have destroyed us.
Voilà.
So if you are telling them that they can't lose their value, that you still give them position, people will not buy that idea. What do you have to say about this?
That's it. That's it. So in the book, The New African Order, I've answered all this. So I'm going to put it as well here for the viewers and for the sake of others as well. Now, what is value in politics, actually? Why is this man here running for the presidency or running for, what is value actually? It's money, the resources, because that value is not, it's not just the title of excellency whatsoever. It is for the money. Those people are going there. Now the money is coming from the resources. Even the political system imposed on us by the West, it's all about the resources. So we are all converging towards the resources. But who are the owners of the resources? It's me and you, the people.
Yeah.
Now, what can we do to appease the heart and the mind of those leaders to understand that this is the new era? We are going to the era of Afro-democracy, but the resources of the country will be shared among all of us equally. How can you do that? In the book, I suggested that the countries in Africa must establish a structure, an economic structure that will supervise all the sources of revenues, be it naturally, be it, from, businesses, anything, they must establish that, and that will be represented by a council, and that council will be the sitting of all state or all nation, provinces, all regions in the country. So if we have 10 regions, let each region has a representative in that council that will supervise all the revenues, all the source of revenues in the countries, the companies of exploitations, all those, whatsoever the country is making will be put in the treasury. Now, when it will be there, it is not in the hands of one person. It is not in the hands of the president, whereby the West can just say, steal the money over there, send it to us. No, no, no. It is represented by a council, represented by all the regions of the country. So each and everyone has a say there. No one will steal. The people steal because there's only one person, like the head of the institution, the head of the bank, So no one will steal. So by that time, as the country is moving in terms of regionalism, when you have all those revenues, then you can share that equally. You can share that equally per region. So, which is to say that even if in the country there is a poor region that is unable to make, to have access to oil whatsoever, by establishing such a structure, each and everyone will have the share of oil that is been coming from the far region from them. So there will be nothing like, being jealous of those who are from the rich lands, because there's a structure, an economy, a financial structure that is established and represented by the whole country. Wherever, when they sell oil, for example, whatsoever the money that is made there is shared equally per each state, so that they can develop themselves. So in that way, I am not seeing whoever will be afraid that today I'm rich, today I'm managing the revenue of oil, and tomorrow I'll lose it if we change the system. So each and everyone will be valued, each and everyone will be considered in that manner, because value we are talking about in a political context, it's all about the resources. It's not about sitting in the parliament and what do they do there? They do nothing for the people. Many of them even they sleep in the parliament. We've seen many pictures of them just sleeping in the parliament. So value is all about the resources. We have to establish a structure that will share the resources of the country equally among each and every region, so that they can develop themselves. So if is there a region that is not doing well, there will be nothing such as people of that tribe, of that region, blaming the other that we are not prospering because of you, because the leader is from your tribe. There will be no
Exactly.
such. So there will be peace then. By that time, there will be unity. That is where unity will come from.
But how long? How long will it take? How
As
long?
I am saying, if today we decide to shift from democracy to Afrodemocracy and establish structures as I've largely developed in my book, if today we decide to do that, it's nothing like in my book I've spoken about. If we can just take a year, we can achieve that. If we can just take a year, we can achieve that. But guess what, Mr. Okosha? If that can come out in a parliament debating about that, we can still find a common ground to move further. We are not going to lose as Black people. The only loser in this process, in this transition, is the West. It is not us.
Yeah.
It is not us.
But there are some people that the West has been using already. So those people's idea does not support all these kind of ideas that you are talking about. Because
Now,
for them, they believe that they are going to lose as the West are going to lose as well.
Now, as we can say that again, here is the country of millions of people. Those people, they are in leadership. They are from a certain tribe, because they usually forecast the mind of the people of their tribe, to give them support. Like, you have to support me, because if I'm out, you too will suffer. But go and see the people of those tribes. It's not everyone who's benefiting from the leader who's from the same tribe as them. You will see that the leader is from a certain tribe. The people benefiting the most are the people from his family, his clan, and then the people from the same tribe at large. So there are always, some people who are left out, even though they are within the same tribe.
That is what Lumumba called Robin Hoodism.
That's it.
The system of robbing the poor, the majority of the people.
That's it. So they can say that they are against that, but they don't have the full support within their own tribe to start with. Talk less of forest tribes within the country. So they are just like a drop within, a drop of water within the ocean. Easily they can be contained, because when the people at large will realize that we are going to benefit from this process, even the people who are from the presidential tribe, they'll be like, there's no need for us to be standing always as enemies of those who are not favored by this presidency. There will be some common sense that as long we are not losing, as long there will be a structure that will be sharing wealth of the country equally among all of us for self-development, I'm telling you that very same leader who's a sellout, who's busy giving the country away to the West, will be overthrown just like that. He will be pushed out by his own people. He'll be pushed out by his own people, because at the end of that, it is his family, his clan, benefiting the most than anyone else within the same tribe. That is the fact. That is the fact.
Wow. Wow. Anyway, Mr. David Johnson is an author of Afrodemocracy, the New African Order. His book is all about the exposition of the Western democracy that was forced on Africans and the possible way of overcoming it. Everyone in Africa, everyone in Nigeria, every Black man in African continent must realize that this democracy is not working for us. So it's a sad reality. It's not what you just hear, it's what you feel and see within you. You see the reality of what he's talking about. So his idea is that there should be a way where power should be returned to the people. The power should return to even the traditional rulers who knows their people. The people should have their own police. The people should have their own legislation. The people should rule themselves. That the presidency is like a government that is very far. That even in Nigeria, as we have local government, state government, the presidency influence will still destroy all these levels of government. Because if you do not align with the presidency, they are going to kick you out there. Because the presidency alone controls the police, they controls the military, they controls the air force, they controls the custom. So they have too much power in them that even the corrupt legislation cannot even check them. So they go away with everything they are doing in the name of presidency.
And that is by
so
the
that
way,
is the issue.
that is by the way what is making the strength of the West in that African country. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That is why the West is having much power, because the West have realized that if they want to destroy Nigeria, for example, if they want to do anything in Nigeria, they don't need Nigerians. They need only one person,
That's it.
the president.
That's it.
And you made mention that most presidents in African continent have past history, a criminal record in abroad. That when they want to misbehave, they will be warned. We have your history. We'll open it. And that is the sad reality we are facing in our country, Nigeria.
That is true.
You see, like our president was one time, I will not call him as convict, but he forfeited about $460,000 as far back of 1993 in United States from the process of narcotic trafficking, from the drug process. You understand? And there are a lot of issues that came out during this election. They said he forged his Chicago State University result. And they took the case to United States. After everything, they still returned to the court in Nigeria. The court in Nigeria did not even look into those evidence. They pushed it to one corner because that is the system. The system is positioned to destroy us.
Now, if I can add something to that, now, he is a leader in that position. Believe me, whatsoever it takes for him to be free, he will do that. Even though it concerns killing, even though it concerns, stealing public funds, even though it concerns invading another country, he will do that
Yeah,
because that is the price
just to
of his
remain in
freedom.
power.
That's it.
But that is so unfortunate. That is so unfortunate. And I think in our next video, I'm going to look more in your book in our next video so that we are going to focus more, because we are facing a lot of crisis in Nigeria. We are going to focus more. Nigeria is a country. See, when you hear about Nigeria in other country, you will understand that this country is supposed to be one of the leading powers in the world.
Definitely.
Because we have all the Nigerians are intelligent. We are very hardworking. We have the natural, the mineral resources, everything it takes to make people great. Nigeria has it. But the problem is, why is contrary the case? Why is opposite the case? Instead of us to continue to become great, we are diminishing in power and trust, everything. Talk of our passport. Our passport is one of the lowest ranking passports in the world. Why? So these are the issues that I think that people should continue to put into their mind, because a revolution does not happen overnight. People must be educated of the reason and purpose of any revolution. Because if people are not educated, when the revolution happens, people will leave you alone. So the reason why we are trying to tell people that this is what's supposed to be happening in Africa, that power should be returned to the people. That amalgamation that happened in Nigeria is supposed not to happen. There are so many countries in Africa that European they came, Britain came, Belgium came, France came. They just drawn like, this is your border, this is your border, this is your border. They gave us border, not the one made by ourselves.
That is the
They
system,
gave
I
us
say.
name. Yes, for example, Nigeria. Nigeria has no meaning in Igbo language. Nigeria has no meaning in Yoruba language. Nigeria has no meaning in Hausa language. So that word Nigeria has no basis in our cultural system and values. There is no meaning of the word Nigeria in our own language.
Wow.
And that is our country. So I understand what you are saying, that we must go back to our regional governments. But it's not going to happen overnight. And that is my fear. But I think someone should start it. And that is why you have started the idea. But it's not going to be easy. I want to encourage you. It's not going to be easy. You know, when I am going to give you courage to continue to do it, and there will be some strategies. I'm also going to map out things that you are going to do. People have to hear and understand your idea of Afro-democracy, but I must tell you the truth. It's not going to be easy.
That is true. The reason
It's
why
not going to be easy.
the reason why
But it's possible. It's possible.
Yeah, the reason why we here following that ideology of Afro-democracy, because the easier it looks, that is where the West as well is, making us facing the repetition of our own history. We have a revolutionary leader today. Tomorrow, he lay down some good foundation, and day after is gone. Everything is laid down. Is also taken out with him. So I know it's not going to be easy, but at the bottom of that, I even say in the book, as in Africa, we haven't started fighting with the West yet. The biggest African fight ever against the West will be by the time Africans will pronounce themselves against the presidency. By the time they will say that we are closing the presidency, we are now moving back to our traditional leadership whatsoever, the way it was at the beginning before the coming of the West in Africa. That is where we will see the real face of the West. Mark my word, today, as I'm saying, we've been seeing them killing our leaders. We've been seeing them creating civil wars in our countries. We think that is the real face of the West. They haven't shown us anything yet. By the time Africans will decide to do away with the presidencies, that is when we will see the real face of the West, because they will have no entry existing in Africa. They will have no voice. They will have no ways existing in Africa again from them. So what they will do, it will be something that we never seen before. But I'm also optimistic in the way that the moment we will value ourselves, moving back towards our roots, we'll be much stronger than we are today. We'll be much stronger. What does it take for a president to equip the military? He must be a revolutionary. But when it is a democratically elected president, the military is weak. For what reason? Now, here we have a revolutionary leader that can be taken out anytime soon as well. We don't wish that. But we know the African country is a system. Now, if we can have a structure whereby we don't have the presidency, but we have this kind of leadership that can allow us to decide economically, politically, and also in terms of defense of our lands, well, I'm not saying with all the youth in Africa how the world is going to stand against us militarily. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. Will be a power rising.
Yeah.
Will be that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it is not
And what
easy,
you are
but I
saying,
believe that is the way
what
to
you are
make
saying
a
now,
race
what you
a
are
right.
saying, this your idea is just the power and the strength of most of the European countries and other countries in the world. When you see that in Europe, here we have what they call European Union. Apart from NATO, that NATO has one military, that if you come to fight any country now among the NATO countries, all of them will fight you. If Africans should come together to have one military like that, our strength should supersede even the NATO.
Definitely.
Because we have the human resources.
Definitely.
We have the military power, and so on and so forth. Now, come to talk about free trade zone. In the European Union, anyone from any country can travel to any other country, you live freely, and so on and so forth. But it's not like that in Africa. But before they came to Africa, it was like that.
What?
They have dismantled us
If you can allow me,
and make their own countries to be like this. This is I don't know the adjective I will use to
well,
quantify it.
Mr. Okosha. Now, you've spoken about something in terms of defense, military, whatsoever. You also spoke about economy. Now, we cannot do this free trade or defend a fellow African country like in the NATO fashion as long we still republics, as long there's a president of the republic. How many summits did we have there in ECOWAS? How many summits did we have in the AU? But when you see those leaders coming back, nothing's changing. Simply because it is not them. They have to do as they are instructed. But if it was another type of leadership, it doesn't take us a year just to start creating a military power in Africa. It doesn't take us a year to create a free trade in Africa. It's something easy, just a matter of 1-2 summits. We will get it done. Now, when we talk about free movement of the people across Africa, I don't want to be taken in a context that is somehow, but I believe, Mr. Okocha, we can say it like we are usually calling for open borders in Africa. It's a good thing. But here you are, here I am in a house, and in that house, there is food that I don't have access to, and I'm hungry.
Okay.
Will I just open the door to an outsider to come in and enjoy that food? It is not easy. That's why we see all
Not
this kind
possible.
of hate among foreigners, hate among black people in a country, all this xenophobia thing. It is because those who are on that land are hungry. They're not benefiting from that land on their own. But if today, when we go to Europe, you see white people, they don't even care about us. Why? Because they're benefiting from their countries. They have all the social benefits necessary. So when you come in as a black man, as a migrant, they don't care about you because they are already benefiting from the food within the house. Do you get it? Now here it's me benefiting from my house, from my country, as a white country, European country. There is a neighboring European country. Do you think if we say let's open the borders, Will there be anyone who opposed to that? Because in your country, people are served well socially, financially. In my country as well, so there will be no tendency of someone leaving his own country just to go and stay in another country. There will be
Yeah.
no such. But in Africa, oh my, I'm from the poorest country. You open your border as a rich country, but forget about that. When I'll get there, I won't come out. Now, the people who are
Oh my
originally from that
goodness.
country, who are also suffering under the presidency, who are also suffering under the leadership of the republic, how will they feel? How will they feel? That is when they start attacking, migrants. So that is actually the root of xenophobia, the root of self-hate, as they keep saying that. It's simply because the people who are originally from such a country are not served socially according to the revenue of their country. They are in a certain house filled with food, but they are suffering, they have hunger, they are not eating. So how they just let people from outside to come in? So that is the issue. Before we talk about open borders, we have to go back and value ourselves first. It all starts by giving the power back to those traditional leaders to take care of their own. That is where they will be
Mm.
served equally according to the resources of their lands. By that time, they will be satisfied enough to open the door to outsiders. It's like that,
Mm.
It's like that. So the person who has more easily open to a needy, to a person who's suffering in the street, than the person who does not have anything. He'll be like, okay, this is the only one I have, huh? Okay, I can still, there will be like this kind of but the one who has it abundantly, like, oh, okay, we can give him. Okay, that is the reality in Europe. You come, oh, they welcome you. They give you whatsoever because the people who are originally from the country are happy. Now you take that same context in Africa, it doesn't match. We cannot just open the borders like that as long we still republics because people are impoverished in the country. So they will not tolerate other people just to come in. We are poor, you come in numbers, that impoverishment will expand. It will be like, we have to accommodate all of you in this
Yeah.
impoverished situation. It will not be easy. That is where Africans will still stand. No open borders, no open borders, but just give them the social benefit, make them happy. Themselves, they will recognize their fellow black brothers. They will recognize them and they will call for open borders. Simple as that. You know.
So that is a call for a new system is what all these things take.
It is.
That is
I, I've
Afro-democracy.
answered all those questions in. I can even give you a structure on how I even say that this issue of borders will not be the call of politicians for this to happen. Why? Because I've seen in African countries, like in South Africa, there are Zulu people in South Africa. There are also people speaking Zulu in Zimbabwe. So today, let's say, we give power back to the traditional leaders. That traditional leader has the mandate. That mandate is universal. It was like that, created by God, given to him like that. So
Yeah.
when that traditional leader has power, it is obvious he will recognize his people no matter what. It will, it will, it will, it will obvious that he will recognize his people no matter what. And by that time, what do you think he will do? Here is the traditional leader from this side of the border. There is the traditional leader from the other side of the border. They have common values. Common values means one people. They will come together. And then in time, that border will not exist anymore because they will come together, those people. There
That
will be
is
no
right.
politicians calling for that. The border will vanish on its own, just like that. It will
That
just
is
be
right.
history.
That is right. That is right. So, before we come to the end of this broadcast, I want you to elucidate more the role the traditional rulers have to play for this coming or for this creation of a new system called Afro-democracy, because it seems that everything they are doing in political democratic system of government, these traditional rulers are left behind. So they are not part of the decision making. Now, Like I made mention about the case that is going on in Nigeria about the leader of indigenous people, Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu. Now the traditional rulers, the people of that zone want him released. They want him to be released. But the federal system of government don't want him to be released because they see him as a threat. Even the governors, the political governors, they have different ideology from the people, from the traditional rulers and the people. So these people in government don't want him released, but the people want him released. That's why I'm saying that the traditional rulers, they are not part of the decision making. So how would they come in? What role would they play in this creation of a new system of democracy called Afro-democracy in Africa?
Well, first of all, when the African leader is arrested for a political opinion whatsoever, he's not a threat to me and you, but he's a threat to the system in place. He's a threat to the presidency. Indirectly, is a threat to the West. That is it. So it is a long process going on there. Now, here are the traditional leaders. I believe that they are not left out, they are not left behind, all of them. Because when you see even during national celebration, national day, something like that, they invite traditional leaders. They are part of that. The concept of the republic, the concept of the presidency was just like, we traditional leaders are giving our powers off to create a presidency. But the men there must make sure that they respect the agreement according to our land, according to our resources, and according to our traditional people, because we are traditional leaders to them. Now, what happened in time? The West came and changed the mind of the president. He's no longer doing as the agreement was at the foundation of the republics. They are not doing that way anymore. They will take from the rich land, but they won't give back to the people who are from that rich land. Most of the resources going outside of the country, and the people are impoverished. So the traditional leaders are not left behind. They are there, and they are hoping that there will be a good president who will do exactly the right thing. They are there. Now, what can we do right now is to also call to the attention of those leaders, because the longer they expect a good president to come in, they are making the people suffer. You are a traditional leader to a certain land, to a certain group of people. So now you gave your mandate to the president who's not caring for those people. So it is falling on your head as a traditional leader. So it is also up to them to stand up and start claiming their right to leadership, because the presidency has failed. But you'll see that most of those traditional leaders are just quiet. Why are they quiet? Because the presidency is paying some of them. He's paying them money. He's giving them benefits. He's giving them material benefits. As spiritual leaders, as traditional leaders, while the president is there doing whatsoever he wants. So it's actually, if I can, I'm not disrespecting the traditional leadership, but it is actually like bribing the traditional leader. Like, this is your share, okay, and let me do whatsoever as the agreement during the colonial area, whatsoever. So the traditional leader as well will be quiet, and then expecting that the president will come and build schools in his land, come and build hospitals, whatsoever. But what could happen if it was himself controlling everything, managing everything, living in that land? He will build that land because he has the mandate over that land spiritually and physically. That is universal. He will take care of his land. By taking care of that land, he's taking care of that people, of those people. And now, if those people are taken care of in each and every region, we will realize that it is the whole country with the people who are happy. The border will fall because they will recognize their own fellow brother on the other side of the border. There will be free trade. And by doing that, there will also be military power build up. So that is, the traditional leaders must now stand up and call back for their decision-making power, because the presidency has failed. And also at the beginning of all this, it was their power of decision that was conveyed to the presidency by the West. So it is their right to get it back because the presidency has failed many times over decades. So what is another chance that must be given to the presidency? None. They've exhausted all of that. So our call to traditional leaders is to stand up and start picking up the momentum right now, because the people actually depend on the traditional leaders, not on the presidency. That is the fact right there. We don't depend on the presidency. The presidency is for the West. The presidency is between the people and the West. That is ready.
Thank you so much, Clavis Johnson. This your 1 hour and 10 minutes exposition of the Afro-democracy, the new African order, is something that every African must hear. And we'll continue in this crusade. We must continue to share this message to make sure that a lot of people have it, that there is a reason why we should return the power to the people, the original owners of the power, before the British, the France, before those people came into Africa. The power was with the people. But this democracy is not giving the power to the people, because the people are dying, they are in insecurity, but the people doesn't have what it takes to help themselves. So it's like they have removed the power out of their hands to the presidency. And the presidency is not close to the people. The so-called local government and state government are very weak because of the presidency. Thank you so much. This idea is genius. And I think at the end of the time, we must find something out of it. But so the traditional rulers must make sure they play a role so that the power will return to the regional governments.
Mr. Okocha, it is obvious that if today traditional leaders open their mouth and start saying that, mark my word again, if they open their mouth and start saying that, they will have the full support of the people, provided that the resources of the countries must be shared equally. Then all traditional leaders across the country will speak one mouth. Give me back my power of decisions, provided that the resources of the country will be shared equally among all of us. Then I'll take care of my people. They will have the full support of the people. The presidency will be left out.
Actually, they will have the full support of the people. There is no doubt about that. But you know my fear? Presidency, like someone can become a president without the support of the people. And that boils down to this situation where a president can equally punish the people that don't have his support. Because if a president, if you want to become a president, you have the money, you have the power, you have the support of the West and the incumbent president, you can rig yourself to power. The electoral body could be subjected to your own, decision. You may tell them, this is what I want you to do. If the person did not do it, the person will be threatened. I am afraid. My fear is this. Yes, the traditional rulers, they have respect. They still have power to act if they want to act. But the people, indeed, will support them. That is not the problem. The problem is, how can they win this power of supremacy against the presidency and against these so-called leaders? Because the people and the traditional rulers are together. They feel the pain. They know what is going on around them. But the problem is just the insensitive government out there who are not listening to the people. And when we begin to, lead this crusade like this, won't you think that the president will also use military on us as they were doing before?
By the way, like you saying that anyone can become president, but however, there'll be a time of elections. If today the traditional leaders hold their people back, just imagine the whole country, no one is voting. how would you, as a president, pronounce yourself as elected? How would you make it like nationally and internationally? That would be the crisis in the country, but within the presidential structure only. So
Because we don't have one culture, not one tribe.
that's
Some people will go and vote, some people will not go. So it's a problem, it's a cultural problem.
I say that at the beginning of this interview, that the only reason that pushed them to act in the in the way like betraying the other group, the other tribes, is the fear of losing their benefits. It is the fear of losing their benefits through power. So if we assure them that no one is going to lose anything, that very same leader, look, when a president is in power, he's creating this kind of enmity, like making enemies, the people of his tribe, to the other people. Not anyone is happy about that, because they believe that on the day this president will fall, we'll have to run out of this country. Now, if today they are offered a solution whereby you don't have to run, you don't have to lose anything, everything will be shared among us equally. All we have to do is to change the political system. That very same president will lose support. He will lose that support if the ruling tribe is assured of not being prosecuted in any ways. They will let that leader down, because what's the point of me spending my whole life killing the other tribe, stealing from the other tribe, being hated by the other tribe, that it is your leader who's not doing well? What do I gain from that as a person as well, even as a soldier or even as a minister? I'm a minister, I'm earning a living, I'm having some kind of benefit, and here again, under Afrodemocracy, I still keep dogs. And Mr. Okocha, it will even be more than what they make. That's because here is the country taking our resources, sending the huge portion of that overseas, and we are left with a few. Just because that president fear for his crimes, he fear for his life. Now, the presidency is no more. We have Afro-democracy in the country. Now, all the resources depends on the traditional leadership. Nothing will be going out again. So if the country is making 100 billions out of the resources, the entire amount will be within the country. So the little that minister is making will be even more under the Afro-democracy. So which way will they go for? They will go for the presidency or for Afro-democracy. So I've put facts down there scientifically that they just have to sit and reflect themselves. They will go for Afro-democracy no matter what. The
Of course they will.
president will be let down. It is just
Of course
about
they will.
communicating and driving the message out. I have that conviction.
Wow.
The only loser is the worst.
Thank you so much, Mr. Clavis Johnson. Mr. Clavis Johnson is the author of the Afrodemocracy. It's a trending book. You can get it on Google, from Amazon, and from different bookstores. Just go online and type Afrodemocracy, the New African Order. It will take you to his book. His name is Clavis Johnson from Johannesburg. Clavis Johnson, in our next topic, we'll be talking about the power was stolen from the people. That is our next topic. The power was stolen from the people. And in that next broadcast, we are going to talk about how these powers was taken from the original owners of it, and why we are clamoring and leading the crusade that the power should be returned to them. Because from the day the power was taken away from the people up to today, there have been chaos, there have been anarchy, they have been insensitive to the cries of the people. So that word democracy is questionable, because it is not the government of the people.
It is not.
It is not by the people, and it is not generally for the people. So I have problem with that word democracy. So I don't even want to hear that word democracy, because
Same as myself.
you understand, because it doesn't go with the definition of what it is. So that is why in our next broadcast we'll be talking about how the power was taken away from the people and why we must return it. Just in a few statement or sentence. What do you have to tell the audience before we end the broadcast?
Now, what I will say, thank you, Mr. Okocha. What I will say right now, it will be in line with the topic you are just announcing.
Okay.
We cannot do ourselves better without addressing the issue of tribalism. We shouldn't take that topic in a bad context. In the theory of tribalism, I define in the theory of tribalism, I define tribalism in two contexts. There is tribalism as such, there is influenced tribalism. So the one we face today in our countries is the influenced tribalism, whereby we have frictions among ourselves. I've developed that in the theories of tribalism, my next book. By the way, how the power was taken away and why we want it back. We're going to address that, but by also touching the issue of tribalism. As our national, as Black people, as Africans, it's not according to the republics. We've demonstrated that through our own ways. It is not from the republics, but it is from our lands, from our tribal lands. So my word today is to Africans to ask themselves about their true identities. Who are they? They are not surely according to their passport. That is fake. That is a lie. That is dictatorship from the West. You are a Nigerian because you carry a Nigerian passport. Who are we? What is our true identity? That is what I'm leaving behind in the minds of the viewers. I guess from now on, we'll take it further to the next topic, Mr. Okocha.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Clavis
Thank you too
Johnson.
for having me
I
here.
really enjoyed this conversation with you, honestly. And I think there is a lot of idea in this, and we'll continue to talk about it and to share this idea. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much again.
All right.